Hi, Anna.
Hi, Dad.
What's up?
Not much. We saw Project Hail Mary last night, the Ryan Gosling movie. Do you
Oh,
not know what this
yeah.
movie is?
Yeah. How is it?
It was so good. And I feel like, do you ever get those feelings when you see something where you're like, oh my God, like that's why movies and television are so cool. I've had that watching certain episodes of television where I'm like, oh my God, I wish I wrote that or something. You get kind of jealous, but in
Yeah.
a not a bad way. It was just so good. It was so funny. Also was reading this morning that they didn't use any green screen. It was all practical effects. And there's obviously CGI for larger things, but I thought that was so cool. It's him and this alien, and the alien was a fully operated puppet by a human being. And it just from a filmmaking standpoint was so interesting, but then also it was just such an entertaining few hours of life that it made me feel, I don't know, it kind of made me feel excited about the idea of creativity, which is a very esoteric feeling to have after going to the movies. But
Not at all. You should have that. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Did it
Do you
give you a
get that
sense of
ever?
optimism about the state of our industry at the moment?
I mean, I don't know about
Or not
that,
really?
but it just was there's I don't know, this whole thing of movies are dying and there's everyone just
That's
wants to
sort of what
watch
I mean.
3 minutes or whatever. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the theater was super full and on Tuesday night, and I just felt like there was, I don't know. I don't know about the whole business side of it, but it's exciting when you see something that's really good. And then for me, at least, it always makes me feel oh yeah, that's why we try to make stuff so that people can see it and feel a certain way or feel excited about what we're doing. And that was how I felt. So.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you
Yeah.
had that. Yeah, that's
Have you
very
had
invigorating.
that feeling recently seeing anything?
Other than my own work.
Though I had that
I did feel it on
feeling
Sunday when I watched Shea Joey for the final performance.
I had that feeling watching Shea Joey too, though, where I was like, oh man, it's so the goal is to show people the thing, and it was so
No, but
exciting that you
of
got to
course
do
I
that.
have. I have, absolutely. All the time. What did I see recently? I watched this, maybe you saw this amazing small independent film that came out last year called Sorry Baby. Did you see that?
Oh no, I haven't watched that yet, but I know of it.
So good. I just thought it was so good, so personal.
Wasn't it the director was her first feature?
It was her first feature, and she stars in it as well. And she wrote it and directed and stars in it. Kind of like Tessa's going to do. And but it's just really well done, and it's really stuck with me, the subject matter of it. And I found that really inspiring. I was like, wow, look at this person just made this shit happen.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah, and did it in such a lovely way. It's it's a uncomfortable film to watch because it's about a traumatic experience that the protagonist he goes through. But but she's great. And so I often have those feelings.
Yeah, I think I just it's just I did feel that way watching Shea Joey, that I was like, wow, it's so cool that you the people are I don't know, it's such a simple thing, but it's how amazing is it that people sit down and watch this thing that you created just from your own imagination.
Yeah, it was super exciting. Seeing the final performance of Shea Joey, and I hadn't seen it for a couple of weeks, because my job was done. So, and they had just taken it over, and granted, it was the final performance, but the sort of climactic number, if you remember, when he does all those acrobatics and stuff.
Oh my God.
The audience went literally insane. They gave a standing ovation. They stood up, stopped the show. Then they sat down, and then they stood up again, and they said they did that 3 times,
That's
cheering.
so cool.
And I was like, okay, Miles, get the show going again. Come on, let's finish the play.
Did he just keep doing acrobatics?
Well, he was I think he was enjoying. No. He was just standing there, receiving the accolades.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, bro.
Oh, that's so funny.
Put the train back on the train. No, it was great. But it was, because he was amazing. But it was so I was like, "Wow, man, you really have these people are genuinely excited by the work everyone's
Yeah,
doing." It was
yeah.
fun.
It's
Yeah,
very cool. I mean,
yeah.
that's the point of it all. I was
It's
thinking
like
about it this morning, I was like, I think that's sometimes what's hard about writing is that you're writing all the time and, like, it it just takes a while someone can until you can, like, share it. Because I'm like, "Oh, if if someone reads your thing, that's great, whatever." But it literally made me think that, like, one of the projects that I'm co-writing with someone that I'm working on today with her, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell her that I think because 'cause we're almost done with the script, that I was like, "I think we
mhm,
should do a reading of it," because, like, it just made like, that thought came from watching Hail Mary last night that I was like, "Oh, yeah, the
mhm.
point is to, like, have it performed and have it out there in whatever capacity," and in the obviously the ultimate capacity being to put it on television, but, like, to just have actors read it and have some sort of, like, public, um,
Manifestation. Yeah.
manifestation of it, I think is always an important thing and, like, a good step in the process, at least for
It's
your
so
own excitement.
valuable and it's exciting. I mean, it's really valuable and there's 2 things I was it's like I had that experience today and yesterday we're casting our new film, Hello
Mhm,
Darkness, and I had the actor who I think I found for the lead role.
mhm,
I had a work session with him today on Zoom, and we were reading these scenes aloud for the first time since, like we hadn't really read them. I'd been working so hard on the script with Tony for months, and to sort of with an actor, I was just reading with him and the scenes were coming to life and just the manifestation of that was so cool. I was like, "Oh yeah, like this thing can come to life." It
yeah,
was very cool. And it's even more when you finally do it. But the other side of that is that's also good to do because it takes so long to gestate something till it's ready, till it's cooked enough and ready
mhm,
to be presented, as a complete piece, whether it's
right,
a television show or a movie or a play or, a story that someone's writing or a novel, uh, it takes a long time. And, Shea Joey was almost 10 years.
right,
And I was thinking, how insane is that? Like we're having this great moment of excitement but it took so long. I was
yeah.
like, thank God the process of getting there was an exciting, interesting
Well, and you kept
thing. But
getting to perform it in different iterations and, like,
we did
yeah,
labs and workshops, and that was you know what? That was true. Those manifestations, realizing it even in a rough format like in a workshop was kept us going. You go,
yeah,
"Oh, there's something here to keep at,"
right.
which I think as a writer, you must get like, "I don't know, man. I'm all spinning
Yeah,
around in
you
my
go through
head.
the
It seems good to
phases.
me, but"
I saw, like, a really good image once someone had that was, like, the phases of writing or something, and it was like, "Oh my god, this is such a good idea. Oh my god, this is such a bad idea. Oh, it's brilliant. Oh, this sucks. Oh, maybe it's good. Oh, I actually think it could be good. No, it's terrible." Like, it's just a constant because
I have that constantly.
you're always, like, in your head about it, and I think you'll get feedback that will either make you feel really good or that might make you question it, and then it's like, how much do you listen to that versus listening
Mhm.
to your own opinion about it, and so I do think that having instead of especially as a writer, instead of just having, like, a couple people read a script and trying to the process it off of just that, I think to have, like, a public manifestation of it can be very helpful,
Yeah. Have you
'ca
ever thought about I know we've talked about it in the past, but, like, being in a writer's group? Like what
Yeah,
Tony does with the what's it his thing, the Actors Gym, they
well, he does.
go in and
That's not
read their
really a
work
writers
or
group, that's more like they perform it.
well, they're actors and writers, and they have the writer it's for the writers that they come in and, like,
Mhm.
read 10 pages, and he hands them out, and then 2
Mm,
actors get up and read 10 pages at a time, and then they discuss if the writer wants to discuss it, they discuss it, otherwise, they're like, "No, I just wanted to hear it out loud.
mm.
I don't need to hear."
No, I mean, I don't
Um,
know I know a lot of writers groups, but that's different. That's more like an
eh
accountability thing of writers who would not be performing it. But I mean, I've done readings of my scripts, so some of
mhm,
which you've participated in.
yeah,
Um, but no, I don't know, I don't know anyone who's part of a group like that here in LA that's writers and actors. I don't know that I'm sure there are. I guess I just haven't heard of anyone who
yeah,
is part of one. Maybe I should go seek that out.
yeah, I like the idea.
Mhm,
Or
no, it's cool
start
because you
one.
and then both yeah, and then both sides benefit from it for sure.
They do, and sometimes actors have stuff they wanna work on. Like if someone has an audition or something they wanna throw out, they do that
Right.
too, I think, but it's mostly, I think, for the writers.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
speaking of things taking a long time,
I think
no,
that's actually
not
the
good.
opposite of our
Go. The
guests
opposite.
today.
You go.
I was gonna
Segue
say, oh my god,
rejected.
I also just laughed hard enough that it scared
What?
Mika and she woke up from her nap.
I'm sorry, Mika.
Um,
Oh.
I was gonna say there's not really a good segue into our guest today, but we'll just go for it.
We'll go for it. So our guests today are two, again, extraordinary women, who are activists. And what's really special about these two people is they are activists, where their activism was born of a completely organic, community-driven impulse to save their community. The mother of the pair, Sharon Lavigne. I'll just go quickly into the background. Uh, Sharon Lavigne started an organization called Rise St. James, which is in service of the St. James Parish in Louisiana, which sits smack in the middle of a region called Cancer Alley, which is an 80-mile stretch along the Mississippi where there are, gosh, how many? I mean, what is it, 200?
200 petrochemical plants, pipelines, and oil depots
Yeah,
in
and the
one, so that's
highest,
more than
mhm,
one per mile.
right, and the highest incidence of cancer in the country, maybe?
Mm.
It's horrifying, the impact that this has had, and in 2018, Sharon was moved to start this organization to do something about it and fight this, particularly a Chinese-owned petrochemical plant that was being built, in their district, and it was a $1.25 billion plant that was being built, and Sharon shut it down. She got it shut down, and this is the communities in Cancer Alley are mostly poor communities of color who do not have the ability to fight these massive petrochemical companies. And Sharon got it done. And within just a couple of years, she, was recognized, became a major figure in this space. And she won the prestigious Goldman Environmental Prize, which is one of the biggest prizes you can get. I'm just looking at the list is hard to memorize. She was in 2024 named as Time 100's most influential climate leaders in business. She has anyway won so many accolades, but when you meet her, you'll just be blown away because she's just like the most lovely, sweetest, most genuine person who's just coming from her heart and her faith, because it is a faith-based organization all the time, and they've really become part of a worldwide network to change the system.
And
So
it's
do you want
also
to tell us about her daughter or more? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's also become a family business in that,
That's right.
we spoke with one of her daughters. Her other daughter actually also works at the organization,
Mhm.
as the chief operating officer. Her name is Shamel, and then we spoke with Sharon and Shamyra, her younger daughter, who is the executive assistant, at Rise St. James. And Shamyra, it was really interesting to talk to her because her focus at the organization, amongst sort of being a jack of all trades, is she's really focused on the youth and intern initiatives at the organization. And so her background comes from working in mental health and life coaching and finding sort of that marriage between the incredible, important, um, activism and political work that they're doing with Rise St. James, and obviously environmental work, but then bringing it back to her background, which is like, how is this affecting the community, and how can we make sure that the community is not only aware but taken care of through this organization. And so speaking to the two of them is really, it's very illuminating about this issue, but I also found it very moving how they've, like you said, in a very short, less than 10 years, really built this organization into a powerhouse in an incredibly important area, and how they've done it as a family and a
Mm.
community. And I think, it's hearing Shamyra also talk about Sharon, and just watching your parent kind of go for, like, completely become a different person in the name of justice is probably an incredible experience for them to have. So, without further ado, please enjoy.
Let's welcome Sharon and Shamyra.
We just wanted to start with you, Sharon. I mean, you had this great quote in one of the articles that we were reading where you said, "I didn't realize I'd become an activist. I was just a concerned citizen trying to save lives." And I'm wondering if you can just talk about your journey into activism and what that was like, and starting Rise in 2018 sort of as the culmination of it.
Well, back in 2018, I was in another organization, and it was called HELP,
Mm,
Humanitarian Enterprise of Loving People. And I sat in that organization for 2.5 years and just listened to what was going on in St. James Parish and listened to about them talk about issues that's coming up. And I noticed a lot of funerals, and I noticed a lot of people was diagnosed with cancer. And then our good old governor, John Bell Edward, at that time, announced that a $9.4 billion Formosa Placid would be coming to St. James. And it was coming to me right next to my home, 2 miles from my home. And something inside of me changed after I spoke to God. A new person was created. And
mm,
that sparked the fight in me to fight this industry and any other industry that was trying to come in. So 2018 was the beginning of me. I was still teaching school at that time,
mm.
and I had no idea what I was doing or what to do. And then I just went out there and started talking and started expressing how I felt about this industry coming in. Then I started to count how many we have already. Come to find out, we have 12 industries within a 10-mile radius. I didn't know that back then. I did my research, and it sparked from there when I sat on my front porch and spoke to God. That was the
Hmm.
beginning of me becoming what everybody says an activist. I had no intentions of becoming an activist. My intentions were to continue working until I make 40 years, but I stopped at 38.
Mm.
And 2019, I had to retire because I couldn't do both things, teach school and do this too. But I was never looking for a title. I just wanted to live and breathe clean air. And I wanted these industries that's polluting us to be shut down if they cannot follow the rules of the state. And that's what they are not doing. They are not
Hmm.
following the regulations, and Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality are not enforcing it.
Hmm.
That's the
Well, now,
beginning.
mm. So just so people know, so St. James, Louisiana is right in the heart of what's known as Cancer Alley.
Yes.
And I wonder if you or you, Shamyra, can explain to people what Cancer Alley is.
Sure. Cancer Alley is an 85-mile stretch of road that runs along the Mississippi River in Louisiana that expands from Baton Rouge down to New Orleans, Louisiana. And in that 85-mile stretch of road, there are over 180 facilities.
Wow.
And so these facilities emit pollution into our air and our water and our soil. And some of those chemicals are carcinogens. So the people who live near these facilities or have access to the water system or a plant in this soil have been getting diagnosed with cancer at alarming rates. So the first industries came into St. James in the 60s, and by the end of the 80s, the term Cancer Alley had already been coined for our community.
Mm.
Hmm.
So you were obviously just for saying that, Shamyra. I mean, sharing the phenomenon of Cancer Alley and the deaths that were happening. Is that something you had been aware of for a long time before you sort of had that call to action and that conversation with God?
No,
Hmm.
I wasn't aware. I was not aware that we were living in Cancer Alley. I
Wow.
was not aware that it was called Cancer Alley until maybe 2015. I
Mm,
know it's a short time. And I was teaching school, and I thought I was living a good life besides smelling these dirty smells. And
mhm,
I didn't know we were called Cancer Alley. But after we got started, we changed it to Death Alley,
Hmm.
Coalition
mm,
Against Death Alley. And it's a death sentence for us, and especially us being in the middle of Cancer Alley. St. James, St. John, we are in the belly of the beast.
Mm.
And we have the most deaths, the most funerals, and the most cancer rates.
Was there one event or piece of information that made you that was a call to action for you, or was it gradual?
It was when I first spoke with God, the end of September, the beginning of October. It was a change in me, and a movement started, and it just went like it went fast, like we were in a jet, and Jesus was the pilot, and we were the passengers. It just flew. I didn't have any ideas of what to do or who did this type of work. I didn't know the environment, the issues with the environment. I didn't know anything. I just started doing what I thought. But whenever I started doing something, I would pray, and God would give it to me, and I would do it.
What was that like for you, Shamyra? Because you were an adult when this was all going down with your mom. And so what were you doing before? Now you work for Rise, but what were you doing before? Was it related to some sort? I know your sister worked in public health, but for you, were you doing related fields, or you kind of did a complete 180 to help your mom?
Kind of, sort of, Anna, because my baby is mental health.
Mm.
So I got my undergrad in psychology from Southern in 2014, and I immediately got into the mental health field, working with adults and children who had been diagnosed with, ADHD or ODD or just going through grief or depression, anxiety. And so I did that for maybe about 7 years, and then I branched out to doing more behavioral therapy. And then right around 2020, I decided to just take a leap of faith and just become my own certified life coach.
Mm.
So I was wanting to help people. Like um I was more so trying to see what was wrong with certain people and being able to try to help and lead them and guide them, and not
Mhm.
to say what's wrong with them, but just ways I could help people. I always had a passion for helping people. And so whenever I came over, it was right in the beginning of COVID. I came over to help my mom just part-time. And then when I started listening and learning, and then I found out how intentional
Mm.
that it was for the industries to be placed here, and I found out how the elected officials were aware of all of the dangers and the cancers, and it really made me feel really upset. It was like a fire started burning in me because I was like, "Wait a minute, this is my home, this is my family, this is my people, this is where I grew up, and something isn't right here, and they know about it." I was blown away,
Yeah.
and it was finding out how systemic it was for us to become that sacrifice zone, that really made me wanna keep fighting, and I grew a passion for it working alongside my mom.
Mhm.
But I also think we're not really tapping into the mental health part of
Yeah.
all of this, like what they used
Totally.
went through to see their grandparents and their parents with cancer and the trauma that it inflicts on a community and a people, even down to our genetics. It is affecting us intergenerationally on every single level. And I think that we're still trying to tackle the cancer part, but we haven't even really gotten into the mental health and
Yeah.
the mental disorders that this pollution is also causing. So hopefully my passion will end up merging.
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, I was so struck in this movie that people can go watch on Netflix, The Plastic Detox. It's all about really about sort of microplastics and pollution in our daily lives. Sharon, you have this very powerful segment in it, and you're just in the matter of a couple minutes that you're on screen, you're listing all these people who, in your neighborhood, in your community, in your family who've passed away. And I was watching it, I was just thinking, to your point, Shamyra, like the level of grief that comes sort of unbeknownst maybe to many of your community members, as you guys were kind of unaware before you really dove in. Sharon, for you first, like what has been your process of processing that grief and turning it into action?
It makes me anger, anger inside when I think about all the loved ones and my neighbors and friends who passed away, who didn't have to pass away so early. They were just taken away from here, and a lot of them didn't know they had cancer. My neighbor, Helen, on my right side over here, she went to the hospital and found out she had cancer, and she didn't come back home. She
Wow.
passed away. My neighbor on my left side, Margie, She had cancer. Then her husband developed throat cancer after her. These people that I know personally, and it's hurtful to see what's going on, and we're not getting the help that we need. We're not getting the help at all. We're getting a little bit funding to help, but it's not enough. We need more help to get the word out, to make people aware that we are dying. We are literally dying. And I was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis. At that time, I didn't know what it was, what it came from, so I did my research, and it came from industrial pollutants, and that put a fight in me. I have to find out what to do about this. And I thought I was going to lose my liver. I prayed and I prayed, and God said no. God said fight, and that's what I'm doing.
What kind of reaction did you get when you started Rise and started the fight from the big corporations that had these billions of dollars invested in making their chemicals, regardless of who dies as a result?
Well,
Did they come after you? Was there,
no,
how did that?
they didn't come after me. I asked to speak to the PR person in Formosa Plastics. They would not meet with me. And another industry that was trying to come in, I went to the parish council meeting, and the man asked me, touched my arm and asked me, can he speak with me? And I said, no, because you're trying to poison my community. You're trying to bring this plant in, this $1.25 billion industry right in across the river from my home. And I did like this to him. I didn't want to talk to him because I felt like he was trying to make a deal with me, compromise me, because a lot of them do that, and they get the attention of the public officials, and they give them whatever they want to give them, and the officials accept it and go against us for the industries. So I was never in the room with the industries to talk with them. Never.
Wow.
I wanted to, but they wouldn't let me come into the room to talk with them.
In the work now that the organization has been around for a little while, and Shamyra, maybe you can speak to this, like, what is your daily, weekly, like, how do your guys' goals evolve? Is it to find those points of contact at these plants? Is it legislative? Is it community building? Like, what are the different aspects of what you guys are doing, and how does your relationship factor into that too?
It's an excellent question, Anna. And the short answer is everything. We do
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Literally.
As a true activist, yeah.
Yes. You have to attack it from every angle, in every phase, and in every space. And so you have your boots on the ground activism. That's neighbors, community, door to door. We have advertising. One of our goals initially coming out was not only to stop Hermosa, but to educate. And so, because we spent so many years living in it and weren't aware. And so we also have to have that grace when we're trying to move forward with our neighbors and our family, because we know that there was a time when we weren't aware. And so I think when people learn about what's actually happening and what's actually in the air, they can make decisions and support us better. As far as weekly, we have a lot of Zoom calls.
Every day.
Like Al Gore says, the most popular phrase these days is "you're on mute." Like,
Right.
It's true.
so
We're all guilty of it.
Yes.
we are connecting. We are movement building. We are capacity building. We are traveling to speak, to educate. We have lawsuits and legislation we're trying to attack. The new administration, we're facing more challenges. But we've had 2 successful victories this year and 2 lawsuits that went our way. The judge sided with us. So we are celebrating that. And we are constantly doing radio ads, advertising, just any way that we can. But there's also the things you might not think about, or you might not think we would do, but we also target banks, because those banks give out the loans and the money for these industries to build. And so we have to go through what they are portraying publicly to see if they're actually really doing the real work behind the scenes. So we have had success there too, where banks have promised to not fund some industries because of our work towards them.
Wow.
And then we are nationally, we connect with other communities because the thing when we started doing this fight, and Mom could tell you, we started seeing other communities that look just like ours
Mhm.
all over. And we were like, wow, so this is just a thing that is happening. It's not just us. We do have it really, really bad here, but in Texas and Florida and Puerto Rico and all these around the world, there's people fighting against these same causes.
Hmm.
And so we need the United States to get ahead of the curve because we are ranking dead last when it comes to sustainability and climate justice and environmental justice.
Yeah.
Mm. I'm curious, just to go back to the roots of it, Sharon, you say, you got ideas and you would just do it. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary that you started this organization in 2018, right? And
Yes.
then am I right that in 2021 you were named in the Time 100 most influential people on climate? I mean, that as I recall, you're right next to like Billie Eilish in the
Oh,
list.
no. In
Is that correct?
2021, I received the Goldman Environmental Award.
A Goldman
Twen-
Award, that's
yeah,
right.
Goldman. And
Oh,
then
and the Time 100, was that a
time
year
when
or
it
two
was
later?
2024,
Hmm.
time
Oh, okay.
100.
Well, still, so you built this organization with incredible speed and impact. Can you just kind of take us through what you say you did? You got an idea and you would do it. What did you do? Like, what were the sort of the steps that you took that had such you had such an impact so fast?
Well, after I got the calling from God, I called a meeting in my den. I left the Help Association there, and I told them some of the members came to my home, and we had a meeting in my home. Then the next meeting we had in my garage because we don't have an office. And before the meeting in the garage, I went to a meeting at Southern University Law School, and the people wanted to know what was going on. And Shamyra and I stood in front of the people to tell them what's going on in St. James, and we was nervous and afraid to speak, but we told them. Then the next day, me and my brother was still there, and we said we don't know how to organize or what to do.
Hmm.
And two people said they're going to come and show us. So I said we having a meeting, whatever day it was, and they came. So we fixed the garage up, and the lady said,
Hmm.
"First thing you need is a name." I said, "Well, that's true. We didn't even have a name. We just know we was going to fight this industry, this $1 billion industry. We had our boxing gloves on, ready to fight." So
Hmm.
she gave us some pointers. I made a big pot of gumbo. People came, sat down, and ate. And then from there, she told us to go to the courthouse and get certain records. I forgot what the records were. And then after that, we went to New Orleans and we met with Justice and Beyond, three of us, and they asked us, how can they help us? I thought that was Formosa sitting on the stage talking to us, not knowing it was the people were trying to help us.
Hmm.
And so after we told them, we want you to come to our march. We met them on a Monday, said that Saturday, it was a Friday or Saturday, it was on November 3rd. I never forget that because I never spoke in public. And so we said to come and help us at our march. And they said, we will be there. I said, boy, that was nice. Just ask the question, people come and help you. So I went to the sheriff department and asked him, can we march on Highway 18? He said, oh, no, Sharon, the Sunshine Bridge, is being repaired. So you can march on the sidewalk. I said, okay. I didn't know back then, but I know now.
Hmm.
So we marched on the sidewalk and we had a bull's horn. And my first time speaking on the bull's horn. And we said, we said all kind of thing on that bull's horn. And then a friend of mine had dinner for us at our house. They had a big old tent. They fixed jambalaya, food and everything. Then me and this other girl, she said, Sharon, I couldn't eat because I was excited because I know God going to stop this. I felt it in my heart. I just know it. I knew it. And I still know it, but I knew it even stronger back then. And she said, Sharon, why don't you come over here and let's get on the mic, on the camera. And I said, okay. Everybody was eating, having a good time and talking and everything. I couldn't eat. I was nerved up and I was excited because God sending us help. And all I knew was we're going to stop it. So she said, come on over here. I came over there and she said, you want to speak? And I said, yes, I want to tell Formosa one thing. You are not coming here.
Hmm.
This is the stop. And after that, I started singing my song, Victory is Mine. That girl recorded all that stuff, and I didn't even put it on social media. I was just clowning, but I was excited and I was happy. Everybody said, "Sharon, come eat." I said, "I'm too happy to eat. I can't
Oh.
eat." I was overjoyed because I see the victory. I know the victory is coming, just taking a while. And I'm gonna
Mhm.
stand on God's word. Formosa will not be built 2 miles from my home.
That's
Amen.
amazing.
And you won that battle.
Yeah, you
That's
won the
right.
battle.
We
Wow.
went to court, and the judge ruled in our favor. 2022, Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality and Formosa appealed it. Isn't that
Wow.
something?
Oh my
After
gosh.
the judge ruled in our favor on all 10 counts. They said we have the right to breathe clean air. This you shouldn't have to live like this. Everything the judge said. We went to court about 3 times. After that, the judge she resigned the next year.
Wow. That's
I
wild.
thought when the judge make a decision, that was final. But
Yeah.
not in this case, not with these
Yeah.
politicians and
Yeah.
industries.
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
I mean, hearing that, it's such an amazing story, and like I can feel your joy as you tell it.
Oh, yes.
Shamyra, as you were watching your mom take this on and do this, what were you feeling as a daughter, as a family member, as a potential partner in it? What was that experience like for you?
Well, my mom's been a school teacher my whole life, so this was a completely different woman that I was seeing.
Wow.
Yes.
In the time that I thought she would be retiring, she
Yes, I
had
know.
turned and evolved into a whole nother being. And I remember being really, really busy trying to figure this out when it was just her and I.
Mm.
Um, and then I remember in 2021, she said, "Shamyra, I'm getting an award." And I had so much work to do. I was like, "Okay." She's like, "No, I'm getting an award." And I was like, "Okay, you already got an award. Okay." Look at these emails. And and then she won the Goldman, and there was a camera crew in her living room, and I was like, "What is about to happen with this organization?
Wow.
Mm.
What is that Sigourney Weaver?" Like, 'cause Sigourney Weaver was hosting the Goldman Prize Environmental Prize Award show, and
Wow.
we were on there virtually on Zoom because it was COVID in
Right.
2021.
Mhm.
And then everything changed after that. The emails quadrupled, the phone calls doubled, the messages, everyone wanted to talk to her, everybody wanted a conversation. It just went crazy. I was overwhelmed. I thought I was coming in to help my mom because she was overwhelmed, but then I got overwhelmed and
Mhm.
I'm
No.
like, "Wait a minute." And so to see my mom who doesn't really talk in public go into a speaking in front of hundreds and thousands of people,
Yes.
to see her get elevated to this place where we walk in and I'll never forget the day we were walking in the store and someone was like, "Oh my god, you're Sharon Lavigne." And I was like,
Local celebrity now.
"These people know your name? Like, what is so it was like, "Are you like a celebrity now? Like, what is going on?" Like, oh my god, and so it really reinforced my faith in what we
Mm.
were doing, my faith in
Mm.
God, because I feel that people can do this work for decades and not
Right.
reach this type of success. To get that international recognition of the Goldman and then the Time 100, I'm on cloud 9. I talk
Mhm.
about it more than she does. Like, I feel like I'm more excited that mom
Mm.
is doing these things because I know that God is behind us doing this and that He's supporting what we're doing. And it reinforces that I think we're doing the right thing because this doesn't happen to people every day.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
there's no way that people know your name when we're walking in the store. It's insane. So only God can do this if you're doing what God told you to do and that this is what you're supposed to do. And it doesn't matter how old you are or where you're from or who you are. If God calls you to something and you're obedient, you have courage and you go for it, God will bring in the people to support you, to help you. He will give you the platform. And He created a international platform for our work to shine light on what we're fighting.
Mm.
And so I couldn't be more proud.
Aw.
I am a
Wow.
happy Daughter, you would think it's me winning. How excited I am.
You are.
Yeah.
It's all of you, yeah.
You go, girl. Like, you go, girl. You're doing a great job. Look at you.
I know Shamyra, one of your roles at the organization is being sort of a youth coordinator dealing with internships. Sharon, the first question I have is when you started to get this organization going, how did you view the role of young people in this fight? Because I think there's often a discussion whether it's this specific fight, whether it's sort of activism in general, political engagement, things like that, especially when kids are younger, wanting there to be awareness, but also kids deserve to have a life that feels enjoyable and carefree in some respect. And so you guys are living in an area that's really, that's a hard balance to strike because of how serious the issues you're facing are. Sharon, when you started to get this thing going, how were you thinking about kids, teenagers in St. James Parish and in your region as it regarded what you were fighting for?
Well, when I first started, I went from door to door and talked to people. Talked to some of the people at church, and I talked to some of the young people also. And my heart went out to the young people because they they are being born into this environment. They didn't have to be because of all the
Hmm.
pollution and all of industries. So I really feel for the young people, and we're trying to educate the young people also, just like we're trying to educate the older people that don't know. And a lot of the young people are glad we told them about it. They come to me and tell me they're glad I'm doing this. Some of my students, former students, would come to me and tell me they're glad. And if you run from something, Miss Lavigne, we're gonna vote for you. That kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
they're with me on it.
That's great. And then how does that play out for you, Shamyra, in the work that you're doing specifically with youth in the area through the organization?
I love this question, Anna, because I have felt both sides. I went through a time of feeling that this isn't the young people did not create this problem.
Mm.
And so why would they have to give up their youth to fight what other people have created? Um, but I was able to work through feeling like that because I know that this is life or death.
Mhm.
And if I could go back when I was a teenager in my 20s, I would stand up for it too. Um, but have you seen these young people lately?
I
They are fired up. You know,
know.
if they see
You got a
something
good
they like,
generation to help you for sure.
yeah, the more you get to spend time with them, the more you realize they're the perfect generation
Yeah.
for this. Because the moment they see something they don't like, they're like, I don't like this. We're going to change this.
Mm.
And then they start doing it.
Yeah.
And I feel inspired by the younger people because they really have a no nonsense code with them. The moment they decide that they want something to change, they do it.
Mhm.
And they stand up for what they believe in. And I'm like, this is like the baby boomer generation, like reborn again. Like, his mom's a baby boomer. And I'm like, listen, you can do it. And so I'm so inspired by them that I had to get past the part of feeling like I need to protect them.
Mhm.
I think I was feeling like I needed to protect them, but I also think I need to educate them and lead them and guide them, but guiding them within the parameters of allowing them to be themselves.
Yeah.
There isn't one way to do this. There is no book of activism that says this is how A, B, C, D. You have to figure it out. And if they want to do it wearing a tube top, let them do it wearing a tube top.
That's
Like,
right.
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 just support them doing it in their own way.
That's
And
right.
they're gonna grow and expand. And we have the perfect people coming up to continue this fight.
Sharon, I know your dad was a civil rights activist, and
Yes.
I'm curious for you, the activism came much later in life and you were a teacher, but when you were starting Rise and thinking about working in this space that was very different than being an educator in a school, what do you feel like you kind of remembered from your childhood of watching your dad?
I know my dad was a fighter. I know that.
Yeah.
He believed in God. He believed in God, and he would always tell us stories in the Bible, and he would always tell us prayers changes things. When I started, I could hear his voice ringing in my ears, and I held on to that. But when I started doing this work, I didn't even think about my daddy. all I thought about was but about Formosa.
Yeah.
Until one day I was at church and this girl said, "You sound just like your daddy. When you speak, you sound like your daddy." I said,
Oh.
and after that, I started thinking, well, maybe that's what people, saying I took after him. But I hadn't planned to do this. It just happened.
Did you, Shamyra? I mean, you were doing mental health work and had this impulse to help people. Sharon, you said that, when you were teaching, you were working for the organization Help, right?
Yes, yes,
In the community. So
yes.
there was always a call to service, right?
Oh, yes,
For you as a family, it sounds
yes,
like.
yes,
Can you
yes.
What do you see as the difference between service and activism?
I never thought of it like that. Service, ah, helping people, the activists. Activism would be a voice for the voiceless,
Mm.
Mm,
and to save your community,
mm.
and to speak for the people, to express your concerns and do it right. And I always felt like if you do it right, it's gonna always come out right. If you
Hmm.
do anything wrong, we'll have some
Yeah.
backlashes.
What about you, Shamyra?
I think service and activism are synonymous now.
Yeah.
It's both an
Mm,
action, and the part of our activism is service. A huge part of it is to serve the people. And we had an opportunity to do that after Hurricane Ida, which was one of the top 5 worst hurricanes to hit
Mhm.
our community in history.
mm,
And St. James was without power for 15 days.
Whoa.
And during those 15 days, we were packing bags, going to houses, giving out goods, giving out um, perishables and non-perishables. And
Yes.
whenever there was like branches or something in the driveway of elderly people's yards, we were asking and trying to get people to get that out the way for our elderly community members. Um, and it was a time where we could have just been sulking and down. I mean, the internet was down, the Wi-Fi was down, but we were in mom's garage, the famous garage,
mm,
packing bags and helping people and being servants.
Mhm.
And that actually happened, what, I think a month or 2 after she won the gold medal. So
mm,
we were just on this super high, and now we're 15 days without electricity, handing out paper towels. And so
mm,
it's a moment that I think it was a evolving moment for us to be
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, activism is gonna be serving. We're gonna need to love people. We're gonna need to help people. That's what this means. And so our work took on another meaning in my opinion, because it went from talking and doing these things to getting boots on the ground and helping and caring about what people were going through. And I was like, wow, so this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
Like it took on another role
Yeah.
Yes.
that moment. So I think it's synonymous.
mhm.
You can't have one without the other. You have to help people when they need food. You have to help people when their electricity is off, even if yours is off.
I
We
wonder
didn't.
if activism maybe also looking at the work that you do is also about the difference, if there's a difference or an addition, changing systems, fighting to change systems might be
100%.
because that seems what you're doing really is trying
Yes.
to change the system
Yes.
that allows and encourages and enables this kind of destruction of communities.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yes.
Tony, and a culture as well.
Yeah.
There
Mhm,
Yes.
people these industries have become part of our culture,
Right.
unfortunately. There are some elderly people who've seen these industries since the 60s and are against them being shut down or stopped, or some people feel like they need them.
Right.
It's a
yeah,
mindset we've had to try to shift, as well as the
mm,
system and all the practices that have been allowing this for decades. And when you get into this fight and you see the bigger picture and how deep it goes, but not only that, trying to change the mindset of the people that you love in your community who are dying from it, but are also fearful of what happens without it, or are
Mhm.
mhm,
fearful to change. It's a lot of fear of change that goes into this that makes it a little difficult, but that's what we give grace for.
Yeah.
Well,
mhm,
I don't hold anybody. I don't hold it against anybody because
Yeah.
I understand we had to fix it on ourselves with ourselves too. to be
And
able
it's a
to.
relearning process for
It
people of
is.
what the world can be. I think that I always find that's like the hardest part is it's really difficult to conceive of a world different than the one that you know. And I think it takes people like yourselves to paint a picture of like what that could look like and a more hopeful picture of what that could look like. But I think that's so much of why in every aspect of life we like find our heels dug in and we find it so difficult to find progress because it's so much more comfortable to just live
Mm,
the way that we've been living even if the repercussions are dire.
that's it, comfortability.
Yeah.
Uh, People are comfortable and scared of that change.
I have
And Mom, we saw it with you. Because when
mm,
Mom starting out, a lot of her friends were telling her, "Don't do it. The industries are gonna get you. They're gonna come for you." Like, they spoke so much fear into my mom all the time.
But
And
I
Mom,
wasn't.
you could speak to that.
But I wasn't fearful. The
yeah.
more they spoke it, the more the power they gave me.
I know,
Mm.
it's
All the
crazy.
people close to me would tell me, "You don't fight industry.
Yeah,
The governor
Right.
approved it. It's a done deal."
yeah.
And Sharon, don't start Rise St. James. I said, "I'm not listening to you. I'm listening to God."
How has this work now changed your relationship as mother and daughter, and also working with your other sister as well?
Change it in a, in a positive way.
Yeah.
That we work closely together. We come together with our ideas and our strategies, and we bring it to the group and we talk about it. We don't leave the group out. It's a group thing.
Mhm.
I don't make the decisions all by myself. I include them in the decision making.
Yeah.
And I have a
Yeah,
grandson that's interested. Oh, he's all into it.
Hmm.
yeah.
He's 14,
Let the
and he's
legacy
Wow.
continue.
yes. I hope he continues.
What
I
about for
think
you,
it's
Shamyra?
I think it changed in a positive way, because we had to, like the young people say, get it out the mud. Um, we had to take two different generations and come together and fight for something. And
Mm.
with my way of doing it is different from her way of doing it. I'm like, let's put it on social media. She's like, let's put it in the newspaper. But we just had to do both.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
just because we just had different things of like how to reach her people versus how I'd say you reach my generation.
Mhm.
Yes.
So we had to just go through it. We had to go through the working pains of trying to figure it out. And it took time. It was not
Mm.
pretty. It was fussing, it was arguments, it was disagreements.
Mhm.
But then it was coming together. Slowly things began to mesh, and
Mhm.
um I I was I'm so grateful that we were able to get it like that. And then the nonprofit started really taking off. But we didn't know it, but at the time we were building a foundation that was like unshakable between us
Oh.
because we were doing it when we didn't know what to do. And it turns out when two people get together for a shared goal and they don't know what to do, they figure it out on their own. It ends up like creating this bond
Yeah.
of like, hey, whatever success comes, you remember it was me and you in the back room or in the famous garage or just trying to figure this out before anybody was paying attention to us really. And so now it's created this bond and a shared understanding. And my mom can know how I would react to something. I know what she would say in a certain situation because of that time that we didn't even realize what we were really doing. But
Mhm.
now I look back and I'm like, wow, like look what was happening. Look what we were building and we didn't realize it.
We sure didn't.
And so now it's immovable. Like we are so close because of it
Mm.
now. And it has led and become a foundation for us to be able to show other people
Mhm.
how to do it because there's other mother and daughters or parent and child relationships that we come across, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey," you understand them a little differently because 'cause you're like, "I get it. I get
Yeah.
what it takes to be able to, um, overcome the adversity that comes with creating it and be
Right.
able to do it." And I'm sure you guys have had to, have your own experiences as well as a
Yeah, you
father.
Mhm.
understand each other better, right? I think that's such the beauty of working together is you get to understand each other on a different level and um And like you said, having a shared goal can be this really special thing that I don't think you often experience as like a child and a parent, where I think when you're like with your siblings, you sort of always, you might have shared goals growing up and stuff like that. But I think it's really unique as a parent and a kid to suddenly have a shared goal is a very powerful thing. I did have a question. So you said we're so close. I'm wondering, if you can explain to people who are listening and watching, like, what is the what is this? What does success look for you guys like right now? And also, how can people help you get there?
For me, these industries, if they are not held accountable, shut them down.
Mm.
That's the ultimate goal, because we shouldn't have to sacrifice our lives for these billionaires to make money.
Mm.
Because if these plants continue, and if Formosa would come in, it would be a death sentence for us. We would
Right.
not be able to breathe the air. We can't breathe it now, but if Formosa come in, it's going to be a death sentence because the air would be too toxic. And we're going to breathe the fumes in. And it's going to take our lives early in life. So the ultimate goal is, if they can't be accountable, shut them down. That's the
Mm.
goal.
Mm. And then how can people from afar who might be interested in the work you're doing, how can they support you?
Tell them to spread the word.
Mm.
Tell the world that we are dying right here in Cancer Alley or in Death Alley.
Is
Yeah.
there any, can you tell us about like your website that people can come and learn more about this, or how can people who are interested want to understand more about it?
You can go to our website. It's risestjames.org.
Thank you. And we'll link to that also in the episode description.
Yeah,
so
we'll
people
link to that,
can.
to risestjames.org, because
Yes.
it's extraordinary, the work that you're doing, and it's inspiring to hear you both talking, to see as you said, how this just has brought the two of you closer, and the power and joy in community building and organizing, which is something I think that should be a call to action for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
And particularly communities that are dealing with the challenges like St. James. So congratulations, and please, everybody interested, support Rise, because it's saving lives. Thank you for tuning in to Far From the Tree. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.